Let's bring in Scott Augenbaum. He's a retired FBI supervisory special agent, and Brady Finta is the founder and CEO of the National Elder Fraud Coordination Center. Great to have you here. Scott, break this down for us. I mean, how are they able to find these people, reach out to them, and try to get their information?
Well, there's so much information available on the dark web today that it's really easy to locate these individuals. Now, here's the thing we have to remember. We cannot control what the cyber criminals are doing. All we can do is control how we react to these things. And it's really a shame.
It is, especially when you've got a group of people, Brady, that appears to be trying to target, an elderly group, a more vulnerable group who might not be aware of some red flags that could come along with these scams. Why do you think it is that this particular group, Holocaust survivors, seem to be the targets?
First of all, thanks for having me, and thanks for having this discussion. It's important. I think this is just indicative of how despicable these groups are. That they'll use any opportunity, and they'll try any avenue they can to get as much money as they can from our parents, from our grandparents. I think this is just a kind of another relatively new version of this torrent of frauds and scams that are out there, and it's not going to stop. These criminal enterprises that are taking tens of billions from our elders every single year are constantly reinvesting in their criminal enterprise to try to figure out new ways to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if they can make a buck, they'll do it.
Right.
Scott, people are vulnerable. People fall for things. I mean, you see stuff on Facebook, you see stuff online. How do you verify it? How do you make sure that whoever's calling you or wherever you're signing up for, that you make sure that it's legitimate?
Everyone has to stop, pause, and verify. During my career with the FBI and even into today, I dealt with thousands of cybercrime victims, and a majority of them, it was all social engineering, tricking people into doing something they normally wouldn't do. So it doesn't matter if it's this. I've seen this at different tragedies, earthquakes, hurricanes. The cyber criminals are heartless, and they're going to target our family. That's why we have to stop, pause, and verify almost every type of email that we get. And not only email, text messages, telephone calls, social engineering messages. The cyber criminals are going to pull out every dirty trick, and they're going to target our seniors.
Right.
Unfortunately, scammers have gotten really creative. And Brady, I think
Yep.
about with the advances of technology, artificial intelligence, I mean, you could use our voices that are talking now and unfortunately create something that would really have a bad message behind it. Is that a concern for, parents who would want to watch out for their children, and maybe they get a phone call that sounds a lot like their kids?
100%, and that's another common scam. With the advent of AI, kind of the traditional methods that we used to do our own due diligence and kind of uncover these scams, it's a little bit more difficult these days. I think that setting up in advance our own limitations on things that we will do or we will not do during a crisis event is effective. These scammers, they put us in a crisis event where there's urgency, where we have to act on something, either to create wealth or to avoid a crime. And I think pausing and telling ourselves in advance, hey, we're not going to go down that road. We're going to stop. We're going to close this computer down, or we're going to reach out to a trusted contact. Anytime you're making a major financial transaction, having a trusted contact that you're going to talk it over with in advance is something we can set up in advance to protect ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Good to trust and verify. I mean, that's the way to do this. We appreciate it. Scott, Brady, thank you so much. We've got to leave it there.
Thanks, guys.